This is True Crime Tradies. Listener discretion is advised. Pussies.
Hey guys, welcome to the TCT bonus episode. We've decided to release this special bonus episode this week because JB's overseas living his best life. But I'm joined today by a friend of the show and great mate of mine, Luke Heismans. How you going, mate?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for asking me to be involved. I've enjoyed every episode so far, so it's great to be a part of it.
Awesome, mate. Yeah, well, thanks heaps for joining. But you guys might have heard Luke's voice on Spotify a few times and also on TV here in Australia. And you've just been filming a new show, haven't you?
Yeah, it's called Tasman Trails for Channel 9. It comes out a little later this year I think toward the back end of February.
Awesome. All right, cool. Look forward to seeing that one. Well, I'm glad my granny made that disclaimer at the start of the episode because this one, this is an absolute doozy. I know we spoke earlier just to make sure you haven't heard of this case before, and I'm glad you haven't, so we can get some proper reactions, and I can see your disgusted face. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So you've listened to our other cases, and we covered one from New Zealand, a couple from the States, and I think one from Monaco as well. But we haven't covered any from Australia yet. So I thought I'd find one from our own backyard and would delve into that one. So this one's going to be a little bit different because I'm just going to be telling you the story. That's right. Yeah, exactly. And you guys at home, you guys can watch this one on Crimes That Shook Australia. If you want to, if you're interested in the case, you want to watch it afterwards. I'm going to say, mate, this one today, it's one of the most, if not the most horrifying cases Australia's ever seen. And this is, of course, the case of Katherine Knight.
I know you guys are like the true crime aficionados, and I enjoy a true crime doco every now and again, but I'm definitely not as heavily involved into murder and stuff as you guys are. So now I'm getting a little bit nervous.
Yeah, well, this one, I've really thrown you in the deep end of this one because this one is really dark. So, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's got a bit of everything, this one, in all the worst ways. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
So we'll start back with when Katherine was quite young. So she was born of one of a pair of twins into a large, unstable family with a violent history of domestic violence. She had, I think it was 8 siblings, and she was a twin, as I said, and her twin sister's name was Joy. And as a teenage, Katherine left school early at 16 and started working in a slaughterhouse in Aberdeen. And she later described this as her dream job. But she spent most of her childhood around abuse and later alleged that she was sexually assaulted by a lot of family members. So that was really, really upsetting.
It just keeps getting better for her.
Yeah. Oh. So as she went into adulthood, the cycle of abuse and domestic violence, it continued into her relationships. So where do you think we're heading in this story, Luke, so far?
No idea, but if the term damaged goods applied to any young individual, I think she's already earned that. So this could go horribly sideways.
Yes. As we said, she was in this vicious domestic violence cycle as a young kid, and she continues this cycle into her relationships. At 18, Katherine married a local guy named David Kellett. I think he was a local truck driver. And on their wedding night, Katherine got a little bit upset with David because they only had sex 3 times that night. And she wanted to beat the amount of times that her mum said she had sex on her wedding night, which was 5 times. So she got a little bit upset with David and tried to strangle him.
Right, on the wedding night. That's a great start. And what a great topic of conversation to have with your mum too. Mum, just tell me about your wedding night and let's see if I can top it.
Yeah. I don't know how that conversation came up, but God, fucking disturbing as. So they're not off to a great start in this marriage.
What does she look like to begin with?
Well, she's quite a large woman. She's not fat by any means, but she's very solid. She's about 6 foot. She's described as super duper strong. All the photos that I saw of her on the website were her in a Tweety Bird shirt or a jumper, which I felt was really weird. Super 80s look. And apparently she just had the biggest red bush you have ever seen. She just had pubes for days. So
thanks for that visual image, mate. Thank you. I thought the Tweety Bird T-shirt would have been bad enough and would probably be off-putting enough.
She looked like Ronald McDonald was giving her a shoulder ride.
Oh, God. Okay, the hits keep on coming. Well played.
So this was just beginning of a 10-year, highly volatile marriage in which she one time set his clothes on fire and fractured his skull by smashing him over the head with a frying pan.
And he stayed with her during all of this. Okay.
Yeah, for 10 years. So shortly after the birth of their first daughter, Melissa, David decided he'd had enough. And he's like, nah, fuck this. I'm moving to Queensland. I'm going to be with another woman. So Katherine, as you can imagine, she didn't take this super well. And she apparently, according to sources, threatened to slice up her baby and also swung her newborn around by the ankles. The day after David left for Queensland, Katherine was seen walking the baby down the street in the pram, violently swinging it side to side, smashing the pram with the baby in it against fences and poles. And she was then admitted to a psych ward, thank God, but she was quickly released and given her baby back. Crazy.
Hang on, they let her keep her baby after people saw her doing that. What were they doing at the psych ward?
I have no idea. You could just, like, I know people just go, oh, it's the 70s, but fucking hell, like, surely you'd have some kind of clue back then.
Yeah, violence and abuse is violence and abuse. Doesn't matter what year it was.
Exactly. That's right. So then, after being released from the psych ward, she took her 2-month-old daughter, Melissa, and left her on train tracks right before a train was due. Then, after that, if that wasn't bad enough, she stole an axe, ran into the town, and started swinging it at people as they're running for their lives.
Yeah, she definitely needs to be back in that psych ward sooner rather than later, if not for everyone else's safety, but for her own at least.
That's right, yeah. Well, she does make a few more appearances in the psych ward as we go on, thank God. But thankfully, the man was foraging in the forest, and he saw Melissa on the train track, so he was able to grab her off the tracks, which was great. So Katherine was once again taken to Elmo's psych hospital, but she signed herself out the next day, and her child was given back to her again.
So you've got to question, A, the validity of this psych ward, B, are the police having any intervention in this process, or she's just free to come and go as she wants?
Pretty much. There's so many opportunities where this final crime could have been stopped in its tracks, and that's one of the most worrying parts about this whole case.
Oh, good. So there's more crime coming. Excellent.
Oh, there's heaps more. She's lived a really full life. So a few weeks later, she goes down to one of her co-workers' houses, and she says that her daughter Melissa's sick and she needs a ride to the hospital. So of course, this woman, Molly, her name is, says, yeah, of course, yeah, jump in, we'll take you to the hospital. So they jump in Molly's car along with Molly's 16-year-old daughter and her young son. But on the way to the hospital, Katherine pulls out a large knife, slashes the 16-year-old girl across the face, and demands that they drive her to Queensland so she can hunt down her partner, David.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Talk about deep end. Jeez, Ed, thanks for the warning before this.
No worries.
We're recording this in the morning too. This is exactly what I need to be hearing to start my day.
Yeah. It is 9 a.m. in the morning, yeah. So on the way to Queensland, which is a 6-hour drive from Sydney, Molly has to stop off at a petrol station, and this is the opportunity for them to try and get away. So the family jumps out. They try and sprint, but Catherine's able to grab hold of Molly's youngest son and holds a knife up against his throat. And then she goes inside the service station, and she's holding this young boy hostage. So thankfully, now the police come, and they are able to save the young boy. They take her away to another hospital. Meanwhile, David in Queensland, he receives a phone call about the whole incident and comes down to see her in the hospital. And this is where they rekindle their relationship. So that's really nice and romantic.
I can't believe she's gone back to a hospital. Surely kidnapping with a knife to a child's throat has to go, you know what? The psych ward's not working. I think we're just going to have to put you in prison. Surely.
Yeah, that's right. And then this David guy, he hears all this and he comes back and they rekindle their relationship. It's like, fucking hell, she must be so good at manipulating, or I don't know, she's great in the sack or something.
He just thought, I'm onto a winner here. Yeah.
Yeah. So their relationship, it's actually going not too bad in terms of Catherine's relationships, and they end up having another daughter named Natasha. But the final straw was a few years later, and he returned home from the pub one night, and as soon as he entered the house, he was knocked unconscious. And he was hit so hard in the head with a knife sharp and a rod that chunks of his scalp and hair were still attached to the rod.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So they're done, thank God. But A little while later, she meets another poor sucker, also named David, and one day they got into an argument together. So she storms out of the house after this argument. He's thinking, oh, great, this is just a good opportunity for her to cool down, so he leaves her alone. But after a little while, he remembers, oh, my puppy's outside, I better go grab him. So he goes outside to pick up his little 8-week-old puppy, and this is when Katherine grabs the dog, she looks at him, and slits the puppy's throat, just to show him what she's capable of.
And was this before the movie Fatal Attraction? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
But to rewind, so this is a different David. What happened to the David that just had his head caved in with the knife sharpener?
Yeah, he ran. He ran and did not look back. So this David, he follows her inside after his dog has just been murdered, to have a bit of a go at her, and she smashes him across the head with a frying pan and knocks him unconscious as well.
Right. Charming character.
This didn't end their relationship. A year later, they had a daughter together named Sarah. So now those birds got 3 daughters as well. The extreme violence in their relationship.
That's exactly what she needs to keep doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just what the world needs. So the extreme violence in their relationship, it continued, and shockingly, it only got worse. So David claims that he got burnt on the face with a hot iron, and then he was stabbed in the stomach with a pair of scissors.
Okay. Surely he leaves.
But he also claims that during one night he woke up and she was leaning over the top of him with a butcher's knife to his throat, and she just laughed and said, "It would have been so easy to kill you right now."
This really is the stuff of nightmares. Imagine waking up to that scene after everything you've experienced. Okay, you've got kids, or at least a child with this woman. Get out! Take your child and run as fast as you can, like the other David did.
That's right. Like, she's crazy. She's cuckoo for Cocoa Pops for sure. So their final separation occurred when Katherine stabbed David and then cut up all of his clothes. I think it was all of his clothes except for his wedding tuxedo, which was a weird thing to keep. And you could imagine from back in the day, the 70s, it would have been this baby blue tuxedo or something like that.
Yeah, ruffles, shirt. But maybe she was just keeping it just in case they decided to renew their wedding vows, because all these guys just keep coming back for more.
That's true, maybe. So it's reported that after this incident, Katherine actually took an AVO out on him and reported that he was the super violent one in the relationship. He actually took long service leave from work and he went into hiding. So fucking good on you, David. Smartest decision you ever made.
Yeah, well played.
So Katherine, for some reason, as we said, she doesn't seem to have trouble picking up men. So 1 year later, she meets this guy named John Chillington. Very fancy name for outback Australia. But John worked in the slaughterhouse as well. They actually had a pretty stable relationship, and he claimed that there was no violence, and he pretty much just tried to stay on her good side just to avoid her temper, which is probably a good move. And they actually had a son together also, and his name was Eric. But after 3 years together, John, or Chillo, as his mates called him, discovered that Katherine was having an affair with another guy named John Price. So they ended up splitting up. But because Katherine was already focused on this new John, she didn't really care, and she let him go, and their split was pretty amicable, really. So now we're on to John Price. And their relationship was pretty intense from the start. So they moved in together pretty much immediately, and friends described as constant arguments. The neighbours are always hearing arguments, yelling and screaming, banging from inside the house. They said that Katherine was just super controlling and very, very aggressive, and John was really, really a peacekeeper. So he just tried to keep calm all the time and tried to level her out. But things only got more and more violent, where on one occasion, Katherine actually stabbed John in the chest, and she narrowly missed his heart.
Oh, God. I don't get, so far, mate, I do not get the attraction with Katherine. Like, why is she so able to pick up not only all the Johns and Davids of the world, but they just keep coming back, and everyone seems fine with this woman who has the worst temperament in the world.
Yeah, she pulls. I don't know how. Like, if you Google a photo of her, it blows your mind. You just don't know how. She's not an attractive woman at all. Actually, too. Like, I think, as I said earlier, she's 6 foot or 6'1" or something like that. So she's a big, strong broad. Early in the year 2000, which doesn't seem that long ago, but I guess it's sort of 26 years ago, John attempted to leave Katherine, and he told his co-workers that he was afraid of her, and he thought that she was actually capable of killing him. So he ended up getting an AVO out on her, and that was on the 27th of Feb. So smart move. But Luke, this is where things get a little bit dark in the story.
They're not dark enough already?
No, we've just been warming up.
Okay, bring it on.
So 2 days later, after he took the AVO out on her, so the 29th of Feb, John didn't show up for work. So his boss was a little bit concerned, and his co-workers remembered that John said he was super afraid of Katherine and he didn't know what she was capable of. So they called the cops to perform a welfare check on him. So these two police officers, they go to John's house and they knock on the door. There's no answer, but they notice that John's car's still in the driveway. So they head around the back of the property. They're peeking through windows and everything, and they notice a little bit of blood, possibly on the door jamb and maybe a little bit on the walls. So they end up breaking inside the house, and they're calling out, but no one's home, or at least no one's calling back. They notice more blood splattered on the hallway walls, and they go make their way further into the house. They see this blanket or like a sheet hanging from the archway, sort of dividing up two rooms. So the police officer, he uses his arm to push it to the side, and he notices a cold sensation on his arm. And he looks down, and there's blood on his arm. But he thinks, oh shit, I must have injured myself while I was trying to break into the house. So on the other side of the curtain, they see John's body. He's seated in an armchair, but without a head.
Oh. Okay. Yep.
John had been stabbed in the aorta, both lungs, liver, stomach, ascending colon, pancreas, and left kidney. There was a pool of blood on the floor that measured 1 meter by 2 meters.
She literally turned him into a human pincushion. That is disgusting.
Yeah, he'd been stabbed a total of 37 times.
Wow. I have no words. Like, this is not a part of my everyday life. This kind of scenario.
So they look again at the sheet that's hanging up and dividing the two rooms, and they realise it's John's skin. He'd been completely skinned and is hanging in the doorway from a meat hook. She'd skinned him with such precision that the entire skin, including his head, face, nose, ears, neck, torso, genital organs, and legs, conformed a complete pelt. It was so expertly done that during post-mortem, the skin was able to be re-sewn onto John's body.
Why has some Australian film company not done a movie about this? Like, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Australian version.
Yeah, 100%. I was so shocked at it. It's, as I said before, it's such a horrifying case. You'd think it'd be the first case that people think of when they think of Australian crime.
Wow. I've never heard of this. Maybe I'm living under a murder, dissection, pin-cushiony, stab, lots of blood rock.
A very safe rock.
Yeah, yeah. I like my rock, Chris. I like going to bed dreaming of rainbows and unicorns. Not being skinned alive.
I don't blame you.
Or waking up to someone with a knife to my throat. Oh, this is stuff of nightmares.
Yeah. So now the cops are nervously searching the rest of the house, and they eventually lead into the kitchen. This is where they discover a pot on the stove boiling away, and simmering inside is John's decapitated, skinned head.
That has to smell. That has to have some bizarre, horrible smell. Those poor police officers that discovered that scene. That's trauma for the rest of your life right there.
Yeah, well, I heard a lot of them, they quit the police force after this case, and a lot of them, they just couldn't get over it. They were just having therapy for the rest of their lives.
Yep, I can believe that.
Yeah. So they also see dinner plates set aside on the table, labelled with David's children's names on them, like little sort of place settings that you'd find at a wedding. And on the plates were cooked potatoes, vegetables, and John's meat.
So, cannibalism now.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not too sure if anyone ate them, but that was definitely her intent.
I did not, when I said, finally a story with some Australian flavour, that was a little too close to the bone.
This was not the flavour. So the two cops are inside this horror house, and they hear a faint noise come from another room. So they slowly make their way down there, and it's the faint sound of someone snoring, and it's Katherine Knight, just in bed asleep.
So she was still in the house?
Yeah, she was still in the house, yeah. So They obviously arrest her, and during the police interview, Katherine explains that John came home that night after drinking, and there's no arguments or fights or anything like that. Instead, they end up having sex, and John fell asleep, but she remained awake. She claims that she sat there and she just felt abandoned and permanently rejected, and then she said she just snapped, and she ended up jumping on top of him and just stabbing and stabbing. There was evidence of blood on the light switch in the walls, which showed that he'd tried to turn on the light in the bedroom, and he ran down the hallway, and he actually made his way to the front door, but it was too late. She was right behind him the entire time, just stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. This is where he finally succumbed to his injuries, and the autopsy showed no defensive wounds at all. He was just running for his life. And there was actually a blood trail from where she dragged him from the front door down the hallway into the lounge room where she started her skinning of John.
Imagine like the fear that must have been going through John's head. Like that's the last moments of your life, and that's a horrific,
you can't even comprehend
horrific
it.
way to go.
Yeah, that's right. It's just unimaginable. So as I said, I mean, this is where she remained in the house, and she continued out her task of skinning John and cooking his flesh. She also then took a large quantity of pills and then lay down and pretty much just hoped never to wake up again. And this is when the police found her. So during the trial, Katherine pleaded guilty eventually and was convicted of murder. And she was actually the first woman ever in Australia to be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Later in 2006, so 5 years after their sentencing, she appealed, but the court obviously held up her sentence. And so Katherine Knight is actually still alive in Silverwater's Women's Correctional Centre and is currently 70 years old. So if you're looking for a new pen pal, Luke, I'm sure she'd be open to it.
My name's not David or John. I don't think she's going to go for it.
Yeah, she definitely does have a type.
I wonder, like, are there any interviews with her recently? Or I'm sure there's been a ton of psychologists that have sat down with her over the years to try and work out what was going on in her head. Because again, like, and not to justify any of her actions, but obviously she was severely damaged as a child, and then a complete product of her environment that's just played out in horrific ways throughout her life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she doesn't actually speak a lot about that night and why she did it later on. There's a lot of interviews with the judge and people involved in the case, but not a lot from her. So there is reports that she's actually enjoying her time in prison as much as you can. And she's really seen as, you know, the big boss bitch in prison. And I think everyone calls her Nana or Grandma in prison, something like that. So she's even feared in prison.
Yeah. Okay. Does she feel any remorse? Do you know? Like, have you done a bit of a deep dive? I know you and JB like to really research these characters in your stories.
Yeah, a little bit, but she doesn't want to open up on it too much because during her trial she wanted to plead insanity, and that was also part of one of her appeals as well. So I don't think she's completely opened up on it and come clean on her mental state and her thoughts, because I don't know, she must be still holding hope that she can plead mental insanity.
Yeah, I don't think she's getting out now. And what about her kids?
No.
Where are her kids, and are they okay?
Yeah, all of her kids are fine, and they actually, surprisingly, every single one of them have stood by her. So I'm not too sure if it's just constant brainwashing or what the case is. But yeah, I was really shocked to find out that. So
that's yeah, that's really shocking. I would have thought you'd at least want to just distance yourself from your mum and from that history.
Yeah,
change your name, maybe move interstate.
Yeah, exactly. So that was our mini bonus episode of Katherine Knight. So how did you go with that one, Luke? You obviously, your face was very shocked all the way through it, and I really enjoyed that.
I'm glad I could put a little smile on your face, mate. Again, like, it's not really an inspirational story, is it? You know, all these people listening in, you know, are going to rush out and watch the story of Katherine Knight and, you know, get the popcorn out and pour yourself a drink and settle in for a wild ride. That is horrendous, and I can't believe I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it was an absolute doozy. So I love that case. It's for all the worst reasons, but it's just so horrific. It just really sticks to you. So these little bonus mini episodes, these are something that we've been toying around with the idea of. So if you guys liked it or like the idea of it, definitely hit us up on the socials and let us know. And we can definitely release some more of them, which would be really cool. Next week we're back to our regular episodes along with JB, so he'll be back from Canada by then. And we'll be taking a deep dive into one of my favorite docos, The Imposter. Have you seen The Imposter, Luke?
I think so. I think that's actually one that I have seen.
Yeah. This one's amazing. It's just so well produced. It's cinematic masterpiece in terms of documentaries. So it's an awesome one. So, well, thanks so much for joining us today, Luke. Really had fun.
I was stoked to be asked to be a part of it, mate. And sorry I couldn't drop any Simpsons or Seinfeld references into it. As you said, I was just sitting here way too shocked and feeling very awkward and uncomfortable at 9 o'clock in the morning. I have been sure to rate your podcast though, and I was going to give it 5 stars until I heard last week's, and then I dropped it back to 4 thanks to the takes 1 to no one and Jose Hose B jokes. So
Mate, they were comedy
you guys
gold.
brought that
I
on
don't know what
yourself.
you're talking about. Oh, nothing wrong with
No,
the
it's been
jokes.
great, and I hope you and JB continue to roll on with this because it is very entertaining. Once JB comes back from skiing in Canada.
That's right. Yeah, we definitely will. And thanks everyone for your support. Definitely keep reviewing, rating the show, referring it to your friends. It really helps a lot, and we are noticing that you guys are doing it. So, thank you so much. So, Luke, again, thanks so much. Stay safe and try not to skin anybody.
Yeah, no, I'll try and get some sleep tonight.
All right, mate. Good to talk to you.
I
Thanks
think I'm
for
going
joining
to have Mares for a week. Really appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
All right. See you, mate. Bye-bye.